Rambam in Hilchos Chanukah tells us that one of the things that the Yevonim wanted to do to Klal Yisrael, ufashtu yadam b'mamayim, literally that means they stuck their hand in our money. What does that mean? My father, Harav Mordechai Shapiro Zatzal, wonders that if the Rambam means they stole our money or plundered our money, then there would be words that are more common to use. Gazlu, shalalu. What does the Rambam mean specifically with the word ufashtu yadam b'mamayim? My father Zatzal explains so powerfully. The Rambam is teaching us that the Yevonim didn't want to steal and take away our money, but rather, ufashtu yadam b'mamayim means they wanted to infiltrate and influence how we used our money, how we viewed our material possessions. They didn't want us to use it l'avodas habayre, to get closer to Hashem, but rather to squander it and to use it for useless things. And that's the lashon ufashtu yadam b'mamayim, to infiltrate and influence the way we think about our material wealth, not to use it l'avodas habayre. My father Zatzal went on to give a number of examples. He told a story about his father, my Zaidi, Harav Yosef Shapiro Zatzal, who was a Rav in Pittsburgh many years. And he had a wonderful balabas. Unfortunately, the children of this balabas, they weren't religious. They didn't follow his ways. When the father passed away, the children did sit Shiva. And one day, my Zaidi went to do Nichum Avelim, and when he was talking to these children, the ones who weren't religious, they asked my Zaidi the following question, Rabbi Shapiro. Our father left a Kiddush cup. Are we allowed to use the Kiddush cup as an ashtray? Could you imagine that question? In other words, they had no need for the Kiddush cup, so they wanted to know, could we use it as an ashtray? That's ufashtu yadam b'mamayim. That's the success of the Yevonim, to influence the way that we use our material wealth. My father gave another example many years ago when he was a Rav in Miami Beach. He went over to a woman that he knew was making a bar mitzvah for her son, and he wanted to make sure everything was in order and taken care of. This woman was spending tens of thousands of dollars, and this was over 50 years ago, tens of thousands of dollars on the bar mitzvah, the finest wine and meat and everything. And then my father asked the woman, the tefillin, they were taken care of? And she responded, Oi, I forgot about the tefillin. I forgot. She then asked my father, could you take care of getting the tefillin? The bar mitzvah was in about a week or two, but please make sure to get the very, very cheapest pair that you can buy. Ufashtu yadam b'mamayim. Again, that's the success of the Yevonim, influencing. Don't use your material wealth, l'avodas habayre, but on the contrary. But there's a beautiful story that shows that we were successful, not the Yevonim. Many years ago, when my parents were in Eretz Yisrael on a Shabbos, they went to daven at the Kaisel, and returning in the afternoon, it started to rain, and the rain became heavier. They were in Mei Yesharim on a Rechav Chevra Shas, and there they saw there was an elderly woman that was motioning for them, my parents, to come in out of the rain. My parents came in and they were stunned. The poverty, the extreme poverty of this woman in this small apartment. In fact, my father commented that there were so many leaks in the ceiling. She had challahs that were rolled up in a plastic on the tablecloth so that the rain would not come in and wet the challahs. And when they commented to her about the rain, she looked and said two words, Gishmei bracha. Gishmei bracha, that's how she viewed the rain. My father took a note of her address, he remembered it, and Motzei Shabbos came back with some money because he wanted to help her fix the roof, the ceiling of the apartment, etc. And it was money they had gotten from Balabatim, and she said to my father on Motzei Shabbos, no, Rav Shapiro, I don't need the money. My father thought perhaps she thought it wasn't kosher or gelt. He reassured her it came from Balabatim, Shemer Torah Mitzvah, Shemer Shabbos. She said, I don't need money. There's no reason for me to take money. After all, she referred to it as Gishmei Bracha. And then she said, on second thought, I will take the money. Every morning, she said, for decades, she was davening vasikin at the kaisel. She davened every morning at the kaisel, and there she went, and she saw so many women that she said, unfortunately, would be asking for money, but she could never give tzedakah. She never had the money to be able to give tzedakah to those women, and it always pained and bothered her. She said to my father, but now if I take the money from you, I'll be able to give tzedakah. I'll be able to help those in need. And for that, she took the money. That's our success over the Yevanim. That's our success over Ufashtu Yadam B'Mamayinam. To use the money and to use the wealth and to use the gifts we have, L'Avodas Habayir. And certainly we have so many that help to give for Hachzakas HaTorah daily to support Limud HaTorah. That's our success over the Yevanim. That's our success over Ufashtu Yadam B'Mamayinam.